Alrighty, howdy neighbors and welcome back to Dark Nights. Last time we got transported back in time, and this time we have whatever this thing is. I can tell it does not compare to the other spirits that I've seen Sachiro defeat. Hell yeah, last stand, let's go! Sachiro jumps in front of me and deflects its first attack with his katana. Hurry up and get inside the temple. Ever since I was Sachiro deals with the evil spirit. No, but it's not gonna be me. I turn to show his Dave the moment he gets smashed into the ground. Damn. His body felt so fragile. Is he okay? Dash to his side. Idiot. Do you want to commit suicide? We need to play the Sachiro. Let me help you up. Here's Sachiro, and I'm briefly taken off balance by his weightlessness. I run toward the temple. Spirit catches up, she takes Sachiro away and constricts him. Very shocked, I try to keep my head clear. Shiro katana. Hell yeah! Once I'm free, and throws both his katana on me. The spirit realizes what's going on. He snaps Sachiro onto the ground and goes for me instead. I feel my legs shaking. I'm even holding these right. I move my katana upward as the spirit passes. The impact almost throws me back, but I manage to hold my ground. I manage to scrape the shadow. They prepare to come at me again. Two burning hands will burn mine and take both katanas away. I won't let you dirty your hands. He takes off. While the spirit leaps toward me, Sachiro flanks him. He skillfully cuts them to pieces mid-air, exposing the solid core. The chunks wiggle around as they fall to the ground in front of me, igniting in white flames. Sachiro throws the katana into the core. I just said that. The spirit vanishes. I see with wide eyes. Somehow Sachiro managed to turn the tables and overpower him. As my hands have gone numb and are shaking uncontrollably. Sachiro sheathes his katana and stares down at his hands. He collapses. A day passes. Watching the sunset, I realized hours passed by. I hear sounds coming from Sachiro's room. I go there to check on him. I'm finally awake. How are you feeling? Sachiro blinks slowly and sits up. I'm good. Thank you for the spirit. Yes, but you collapsed right after you defeated it. What happened back there? Damn it. What's wrong? Sachiro ruffles his hair and lets out a deep sigh. I don't want to kill that spirit. But it was more dangerous than I thought, leaving me no choice. Did you get her on purpose? Yeah, I was buying your time to run over there. Truth is, I've pushing my luck. A lot of spirits, the strongest spirits, add even more to my record. Back there, I didn't want you to kill it. You might end up like me. So, you're becoming an evil spirit. Yeah. Honestly, I do want to protect the village. But the only way I can really do that is by killing off evil spirits. And that comes with a risk. If I'm not careful, I will become one of them soon. Sachiro takes one of his braces off. His forearm is cracking like glass. He does his best to assure me that it's no big deal. Even though you deny it, I knew you were a good guardian. I should have known better than that war. The more renown I get, the more will look for me. They will seek to destroy me, even out of spite. Who are they? They're the strong spirits. This species collect energy and power from killing others. That's why they survive. I cannot die yet. I still want to experience life in the village. I wonder if this was the memory I forgot. By the way, thanks for saving me back there. You're tougher than you look. Thanks. He smiles at me before laying down to rest. He holds up his exposed arm. This mark's will stay forever. Though we'll be waiting a while. I should take a long break from hunting spirits. I'm actually sort of glad you're here. I would have bored to death without you. No problem. I wish I did, but suddenly, everything goes black, like I'm falling into a dream. Here's Sachiro's voice, he's calling for me. Like a few times before the scene unfolds, Sachiro is walking toward the temple. Where are you? Can't find her anywhere. She went back to her own world. Maybe I can meet her again someday. Maybe she was good company. But now I need to take care of some things. Sachiro says that but heads off. I follow. Try to shout his name, but no sound passes through my lips. Even though I'm clearly in view, he doesn't see me. No. I desperately try to get Sachiro's attention. I don't even notice the hours pass amidst my myriad attempts. It's out already. That's right. This is what life is like. He pauses and furrows his brow. Tonight is awfully quiet. I guess the villagers have gone to sleep early. The spirit from last night was not that troublesome. We still go on for a while. Sachiro, you should rest. Sachiro stands up and heads off. I follow. As usual, he fights wicked spirits and tries to avoid the strong ones as much as possible. No end to this job. Seriously, why are there so many evil spirits gathered around here? I'm gonna count this many since I took the job. As if he was jinxed, two pitch-black shadows cross his path. They look human. This is what happens when you lose your mind. It's time to clean up bigger problems as well. He dashes toward the katanas at the ready. Despite his incredibly fast attacks, two spirits weave through his katanas and remain unscathed. You two are tougher than I expected. Maybe I should get more serious. So you're the guardian of this village. I expected more from the Death's wild card. You two can speak. This is interesting. One is a question mark and one is an exclamation point. That's awesome. Shadows double team him, but Sachiro remains calm and confident. The battle starts off with an attack from the enemies. He dodges every one of their attacks. Since the shadows realize their normal attacks were useless, their heads transform into axes. Finally, throwing in your hidden cards. You shouldn't underestimate me. With katana, he attacks both shadows at once. Sachiro expertly wields the katanas. Almost as like two people with perfect coordination are battling instead. Not surprised the shadows keep up with Sachiro's speed. After a while, one of them cuts through Sachiro's leg, throwing him off balance. Another slices through Sachiro's arm, making him drop one of his weapons. Sachiro falls to his knees. It looks like Sachiro is going to lose. I go over to the shadows, but I cannot grab or hold down either of them. I can't lose now. People are relying on me. I must keep fighting. As the time reversed, Sachiro's wounds healed. He gets ready to attack again. Like an eye, a sphere of white flame surrounds him and bursts outward, burning down the shadows. They can win against me. Thanks for the new life. Thanks to this new life, my energy is restored every day by the temple's powers. Unlike you two, who are slowly burning up your life force. His eyes look down at his opponents, while his lips form a satisfied grin. In that pose, he looks like a sadistic killer. Soon, you will be one of us. Shadows scream their last words before they vanish. As if that'll ever happen. Shiro turns his back, slide the weapons back into the sheaths. Even though he won as expressionless as he is lost. He stares down at his and removes his braces. All of his fingers, his hand and forearms, are like cracked porcelain, turning pitch black underneath as the dark energy dwells inside. Those bastards. He mumbles incoherently and puts their braces back on. Thanks to those two, I need to stay idle for decades. Well, at least I got their power. and they won't cause trouble anymore. Tired, time to head back. Hey dumplings, I'm back. Sachiro reaches the temple, but suddenly he gets knocked down. What the? It takes a moment until he realizes what's going on. Come on, only 2 kills and I'm not welcome anymore? Master, you're back already. You two remove this barrier. You can't, what happened to you? Alright, Sachiro hides his dirty bracers in his pocket. Never mind. Be back later, maybe. Guard the temple for me. Sachiro leaves in bitterness. Right now he has no place to stay. Shall I go to the spirit world? No, bad idea. With condition, I'll drive more evil spirits to me. I need to go to a place with those spirits around. Like a lone wolf, Sachiro wanders, ending up at the village and then the park. I need a place to rest. Can't recover my energy with the temple's power. No, it's too soon to worry. I just need to avoid fighting anything. He sits down in a nearby bench and clutches his fists. He's clearly trying to keep together. I wish I could reach him. Please hang in there. Sachiro watches the night sky. Someone steps out of the shadows and joins him. Rasumi? No! It's been a while, my friend. You are? Your very old buddy. Only a few months have passed since we last spoke. I'm in the mood right now, Keiichi. You're so upset because I took a few of your dear villagers. I'm not the guardian anymore, so I don't care. What happened, buddy? Keiichi floats through the air and takes a seat next to Sachiro. He remains quiet while Sachiro finds the words. Tired from all this, I took the responsibility to protect the villagers. In return, I kicked out of the temple. I remember the records you told me about. Let's just wait out or find another job. Easy for you to say. You've got more options than what you see before you. Spirit world isn't that bad. I like it better than being a human. I want to stay in the village. If you never experienced that, you wouldn't understand. Tell me about your life as a human, Keiichi. It was pretty fun in the beginning. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the best out of it before I got murdered. I want to return to the village to see the same faces again. Perhaps I'll give it another chance in a few generations. Is there someone you want to avoid? Keiichi rubs his neck as stretches to look at the sky. The expression is hard to read, especially after he keeps quiet. It's interesting how you hold on to your emotions. I have forgotten most of my past. I'm only looking at the future and what I want to do. Don't you have any dreams? They're long gone. What I want is no dream. The past is what drives me further. All I need is to remember. A memory is that important to you. It's what my life consists of, making memories. I don't really understand. Is there nothing you want to remember forever? Sachiro lets out a sigh. He stares down and takes some time to think. I had a good time at the temple. If I'm never able to return, I want to remember that time I spent there. I don't know if these memories are important. Perhaps something better will replace them later. Do I already keep a record for you? It's like a diary. Usually I do that with humans when they are about to die. I can look into the past. Go ahead. I need something that you have carried with you for a long time, as far back as you remember. Sachiro rips a piece of his scarf and hands it to Keiichi. I don't know the purpose of this, but perhaps it will be useful later. You will be thankful. Someday I will show you the importance of memories. I'll be going, buddy. Take care. Sachiro leans back and gazes up at the sky. This is my first night here. I can worry later. Now I'm tired. The next few weeks, Sachiro spends his time at the park. A lot of people pass by, but no one can see him. The people look so happy and cheerful. Sachiro observes them quietly. Honey, remember what day it is? Of Of course, sweetie. It's our 1-year anniversary. I have a little surprise for you. Please accept this as a token of my love. Sachiro watches at the couple from a distance. Judging from his expression, he seems deeply interested. What does that mean? A little confused, he looks around for other couples as examples. These people. Reminds me of the spirit girl I met there at the temple. Thinking about it, aside from Keiichi, I must stay by my side for longer than a day. 1-year anniversary, huh? Did it have a similar meaning between me and that spirit girl? Certainly had fun, but connection is a thing for spirits. You're supposed to be independent. Besides, I doubt she cares that much since she's went to her own world already. I don't remember how much time has passed. Somehow, I want to see her again. She just starts to ache at his words. If I could tell him how I feel right now. When night falls, Sachiro leaves the park to look for a safer place. I'm tired hanging around the park for so long. The forest will do. Against a tree, he tries to relax. He soon gets disturbed by the forest spirits. Shh. Shh. Even this forest is no place for evil spirits. Fine, I'm leaving. He's again at the temple. Fortunately, the barrier still does not let him in. Go back to your own place. You cannot enter this area. Hey, do you guys remember? Your master is back. I don't have a master, nor do I remember serving an evil spirit. The worshipful spirits turn their backs, leaving Sachiro confused. I'm not an evil spirit. Look, I'm not. Shockwave from the temple throws Sachiro back. Going slowly, he shakes his head. Been away for a few weeks. Could have recovered a bit by now. Wait, could it be? Here's his brace to check his arm. His head of forearm had gotten worse. His upper arm was starting to crack as well. So I can't enter. Damn it! His radiate turns and leaves. I underestimated the recovery time. Double spirits have already overwritten their perception of me. Which means I have only 2 options left. Wait another decade and get my record clean. I can access the temple for energy, or use my remaining time to kill every single spirit here. Alright, maybe I can still fulfill my wish. Power gathered from that should be enough to offer the angel. A ominous smirk appears on his face as he pulls his katana out. In the end, I'm still this selfish. I feel like fighting with the guardian people. As Sachiro heads toward the village, a voice suddenly stops him. Triple Guardian, is that you? Who? I'm referred to as the Forest Demon. Skip the formalities. I know what you're about to do, and I don't think it's a good idea. State your reasons. Lately, there's been an increasing number of evil spirits. Even though you're going to purge them, it will disrupt the balance. I'm concerned about you. Worst case scenario, will disappear. Until you find a different solution, I hold them off as long as I can. The key is to wait. The situation will resolve itself at some point. Fortunately, I don't have the patience. I don't know how long it'll take. The village might be gone by that time. My current state. Many spirits are after me. At least I can use my remaining time for the village's sake. First was quiet as Sachiro looks over his shoulder. We meet again someday under better circumstances. For weeks, Sachiro rages through the village in madness. Even innocent spirits are hiding in fear. He wiped the whole village clean. He goes to the spirit world once more. He fights so much that even his face starts to crack. He disposes of the spirits faster than they can regenerate. On the verge of losing his sanity, Sachiro cries out, "Rasumi! Rasumi!" A roar of light appears before him and fades away to reveal a doorway. As Sachiro turns, he collapses to the ground. He calls over to the door as if he was on the edge of death. The dark-haired girl opens it, greeting him with a smile. I'm tired of the battles, and I have no patience in waiting this out. I want to abandon this life. I want to become a human. I, Rasumi, heard your call. What will you sacrifice for your wish? My power, everything I've gathered since my birth. I'm afraid that isn't enough. Sachiro's head drops as he slams the katana onto the ground. After a moment, he slowly lifts his head and holds eye contact with Rasumi. What else do you want? Your memories. I'm fine with that. With a condition. Your time as human will only last 1 year. After that, I'll come get you. Such a short time. It's plenty for a human who could enjoy everything their life has to offer. Sachiro lets out a sigh. At this point, he has no strength to bargain. Alright then. The Aura smiles kindly and raises her arm, writing a spell. I lose my memories. Let me not forget her too. She told me she actually belongs to the human world. Maybe I'll find her again. Give me a moment, I want to write it down. She pulls out a slip of paper and a pen in the coat pocket and begins writing. Her name, what was it? He's writing, Rasumi casts the spell. Sachiro feels unconscious. My head feels fuzzy. It's like I'm in a dream again. I open my eyes, it's broad daylight. Then I realize that I'm in the park. Could be then back in my own era. Wait, I can't see my own body. Did I ever turn as a ghost? Out of my eye, I see young Sachiro standing up. Where am I? He raises his head and looks around confused. Who am I? He looks at his limbs, as if they're alien to him. Just I can't remember anything that happened to me before. Sachiro examines himself for clues. He puts his hands in his hoodie pocket. He feels something in one of them and pulls out a piece of paper. What's this? Sachiro. I'm writing this to myself in case I forget. Enjoy the world. You got a 1 year trial. Also, please look for. Tell me what I should find. I think we'll be done later. I'm so tired right now. He lays back down and immediately falls asleep. So peaceful, like a well-fed baby. I realize that at this time, I've been wandering inside Sachiro's memories. None of this makes sense. But it says that Sachiro wakes up. Being by his side, the hours felt more like minutes. At night, but I just woke up. I know my stomach is rumbling. He leaves the park and looks around the shops. Unfortunately, everything is closed now. He looks at the baker's windows with sparkling eyes. So close, but so far. His stomach continues to rumble as a little trickle of drool falls from his mouth. Wish I could have helped him sooner. I didn't know. Hey, wanna have some fun with us? The couple in dark clothes approach him with a grin. Looks like Sachiro has no idea what kind of people these are. They pull into an alley between the shops. He goes with them cheerfully. No, Sachiro. What a good boy. Oh, what's a good boy like you doing around this late? I'm a little hungry. Oh, I should have said so earlier. Here, take this. The guy hands him a burrito with purple and green stripes frosted on. Burrito. Can I eat this? Of course, it's all yours. Sachiro brings the burrito close to his nose excitedly and takes a big whiff. Then recoils and tries to hand it back. Smells a little weird. We'll pass on this. It's because it's healthy, gluten-free, and vegan burrito. Another persistent Sachiro gives it back. Suddenly the woman grabs his arm. Sachiro struggles. He trips and falls to the ground. He takes Sachiro's shoulders. Go on his legs. They quickly walk off. Where are we going? Be a good boy and take this, okay? He pushes the burrito into Sachiro's mouth as he desperately tries to escape. The world is spinning. Why are there 4 of you? Shortly after Sachiro faints, the couple drag his body with them. Can't do anything but watch in horror. Sachiro's eyes suddenly flutter open. He looks wide-eyed at the people carrying him. He should be sleeping. Give us the sleeping pills. He drops Sachiro's legs and fumbles in a pocket. There it is. Sachiro starts to tremble, trying to break free. The couple turns to see what Sachiro is. Seeing that Sachiro is starting so fiercely at, they see nothing. Stop shaking. I gave you nothing that makes you see crazy things. It wants to eat you. A spirit circles above the couple. Sachiro breaks free as it comes down. Terrified, he crawls away and stares at the wall while the spirit possesses the man and woman. They hear muffled screams as the couple's body begin to twist in unnatural ways. As Sachiro tries to look, they collapse and land moving. Sawa steps out of the shadows with a scythe. He slices the bodies in half and they dissolve into dark smoke. Hey, isn't it your job to help them? Who are you? I can't believe this is how we meet again. I didn't have a piece of your scarf. I would never have been able to track you down. What was Oh, what has become of you? I don't know you. You should get your buddy again. My friend, what have you done to yourself? He reaches out his hand, but Sachiro runs away. Keiichi rubs his head and chases after him. He stops Sachiro by binding him with the scythe's branches. It's pathetic. I don't know whether to cry or laugh at you. Anyway, stop freaking out. You told me you wanted to live at the village, but it looks like someone placed a curse on you. I'm sure you still have a bit of your old self in you. In case you bump into those evil spirits again, you should grab something sharp and stab it into the possessed one. Don't worry about hurting anyone. If you hit them while they're possessed, they'll be fine. It's supposed to be your job. I can't do it for you. Do you get what I told you? She was still staring at Keiichi with wide eyes. Seeing that he understood, Keiichi lets him go. Sachiro runs from the scene, and he keeps going until he's out of breath. Yet just so he walks to the park. What am I even doing in this place? Where shall I go? I'm such a mess. He seems to know me. I am not sure who to trust. I'm scared to be alone. There feels like I have always been. So tired again. Exhausted, he sits under the tree and falls asleep. A lot of children come to play. Joyful squeals sound from every corner. Sachiro wakes up, but he does not move an inch. My back hurts. I know my head too. What's happening to me? There were scary-looking shadows. Right, I saw them last night. The scary-looking guy exercised 2 people after. Got fed something strange that made me feel sleepy. That's right, I didn't eat yesterday. I need to get something, if I can get up. Little by little, he manages to roll around, but ends up falling off the bench onto his face. His position is quite comfortable, though. Are you okay? The girl holding a paper bag approaches him and turns him around. I'm fine, thank you. Can you stand? She pulls him up slowly, but he falls back down. Oops, sorry. Not your fault, I'm a little exhausted. Shiro's stomach rumbles again. He blushes to cover his belly while mumbling apologetic words. She takes a dumpling out of her bag and hands it to him. Oh, sure, I don't want to. Before he can complain, the girl shoves the dumpling into his mouth. Is it good? Shiro stares at her with surprised eyes, but nods slowly. As he swallows, the girl feeds him more. He suggests he can eat by himself. Once he raises his arm, his face breaks into a sad expression. Calm down, it's just a dumpling. It'll fill your energy in no time. Okay, thank you. Aw, what's your name? Sachiro. Hehe. My name is Rasumi. It's nice to meet you. For a second, Sachiro stares at her, as if he remembers something. She only smiles back. That's a cute name. She stays and they keep talking, topic jumping from one to another. Slowly, Sachiro learns more about the village and human life. Hours pass by in no time. We'll have to see you tomorrow. Let's wait up here. She goes cheerfully at him before disappearing from sight. He sees him alone again. I don't know where everyone went. Oh, Rasumi told me that people go home during this time and sleep in beds. Rolling up against a tree, he stares at the crimson sky. He looks lonely. I feel like a newborn in this world. Why can't I remember my past? I think I'd freak out if I were in his place. I'm surprised he's handling things so well. Still, I wish I could comfort him. The next week flies by. Sachiro is not sure where he's supposed to find he stays in the park. Sometimes Rasumi comes by to play with him. She'll have to bring his food, which makes him happy. It seems she is not interested in his background. It's getting late. I need to go home. Bye-bye. Hope to see you again soon. She waits before leaving the park, and again Sachiro is alone. He stays at the same spot until he gets tired and falls asleep. Days pass by with the same routine. He keep depending on Rasumi for help. Sachiro takes a note out of his pocket and reads it again. I'm not gonna find what I'm looking for just sitting here. It's time to start researching. By observing people closer, Sachiro manages to merge more effectively into society. He discovers a library is a place full of knowledge, searches for his answers there. These books feel nostalgic. Like I've been in a place like this before. Sections are sorted in alphabetical order. Legendary, legends. What's this book about? It's a thick book with a dark cover from the shelf. He browses through without much thought, stopping at the page titled Temple Guardian. I can read this. Priest warned the people. There was no guardian anymore. The village would be possessed by evil spirits. He was correct. The first dark era in the village's history began. The populace began losing their sanity. Sachiro stands as he continues to read. I wonder what the guardian went. He was such a bad guy for leaving those poor people behind. He stares at the foot of the temple, frowning with suspicion. It looks familiar to him. He takes the note out of his pocket and turns it around. Find your place. Sachiro turns pale as he reads those words. He stands frozen, as if his whole life has suddenly changed. To end up along this village. It feels like a leap. But only a month has passed by. I feel like I remember even less than the day I found myself here. I need to rush. Sachiro places the book back and continues browsing through the shelves. The library's about to close, Sachiro barely moved from his spot. The rush changes the more he reads. It seems he has discovered several things, but I cannot read his mind. He puts all the books back, as he is unable to borrow anything without a library membership. Next time he and Rasumi meet, he tells him she is transferring to another school, and they will not see each other anymore. Sachiro is clearly sad, but he puts on a brave front in front of Rasumi. After a few months, he meets me in the park. I watch to see me play from another perspective. It feels strange to see myself talking to him. But the old memories feel nice too. We watch our conversation and searches together. I watch as Sachiro comes and lives at my house. Fast forward to the night my neighbors got killed, I watched Sachiro sneaking out. My chance to discover the truth. What if Sachiro was behind it? I feel bad for not telling her, but she needs to rest. School grounds were a miss, but the more I scrape off my list, the closer I get. Where shall I go tonight? Maybe the forest. He goes to walk down the street, but stops in front of the neighbor's house. A few spirits can be seen through the windows from the street, weaving through the seams of a closed door. They just lived in the room. They told me they're possessing the residents. Sachiro, worried, walks toward the house. He manages to break it silently through an unlocked window. It feels so unreal. Once inside, Sachiro tries to find the stairs, but decides to go to the kitchen first. He goes frantically and begins opening out the cupboards and drawers. He finds the knife drawer and pulls out the largest one. I knew it! Called it. Now armed, he races upstairs to the bedroom. Opening the door slowly, he peeks inside to see the couple sleeping soundly in bed. Holding the knife tightly, he goes to them and stares down at them with worried eyes. No, Sachiro isn't going to do what I'm thinking, right? I'm sorry. Cover my eyes, Sachiro lowers the blade. The scene goes quiet. No one screams, nothing seems to happen. In my eyes, see Sachiro pulled the knife from the man's stomach. The attack left no wound and no blood. Black smoke rises out of the spot he stabbed. Smoke slowly forms a dark mass, floating above the sleeping couple. Sachiro wipes his forehead and drops the knife. It's exactly like the Shinigami said. It worked. That's totally not fun. Why don't you spare the suffering future possession? Let me show you how exactly this works. Now Sachiro drops starts to float, moving with the shadows above the sleeping couple. Sachiro holds his breath while staring at the scene. No! He runs for the room and falls down the stairs. Someone wakes up the couple. What's going on? Sweetie, did you hear those noises? What is that knife? It was full of screams. Sachiro at the bottom of the stairs and impaired for the fall passes out. After a minute ticks by, Sachiro regains consciousness. He looks around terrified as shakily stands up. What happened? Oh no, the couple. Slowly he goes upstairs to the bedroom. No, it can't be. I don't remember doing anything like that. There became his neighbors. Oh no, she thinks I killed them. Right, there were shadows. Where did they go? I can't let them run free. He stumbles back to the stairs and runs out of the house. Yeah, it was this way. I can't believe they called us in the middle of the night. Stop complaining, it's our job. It was an easy job. Tomorrow my wife wants to go on a holiday with me. I can think about slacking off from work. People pass by while Sachiro hides in an alley. You didn't notice me, right? The expression is a mixture of dread and relief as you return to my house. Did you hear that scream? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Never mind then. As he returns to his room, he cries silently until he falls asleep. Now that I know the truth, I feel more sorry for him. The following murders are just like I expected. The judge just purified them, but a few of them mysteriously died afterward. I don't know what happened with the cases before he moved in. Furthermore, I'm sure more things happen beyond Sachiro's reach. It's painful to see Sachiro so helpless for the people he cannot save. One night I see two possessed bodies fighting in an alley. One of them has his mouth wide open. He's trying to bite. Oh, he sees teeth into another one's flesh and rips out a chunk. What in the fuck? He continues to bite and tear the woman apart. I avert my gaze as I cannot do anything. Sachiro approaches with the tiny brace in his hand, his legs shaking. Evil spirits, I'm going to release you from the villagers. Both stare right at him as he speaks. Then, like marionettes, they move in his direction. I hope he rests in peace. Clutching the makeshift weapon, he runs toward them. He successfully banishes both spirits. Still shaking, Sachiro glances at the corpses. Many are possessed by evil. I don't understand why only I could do this. So wobbly, Sachiro leaves the scene. The corpses have no wounds from being stabbed, as Sachiro takes the makeshift weapon with him, leaving the investigators without anything to go on. Sachiro was the guardian. Even though he is significantly weaker, he can still see and purge the evil spirits. All this time, he knew more than he told me. Vision turns black. Once again, I feel like I am endlessly falling. From my eyes, the bright light almost blinds me. Back in my room. Oh, that felt like a dream. My hands clutched the blanket. I slowly regained control over my sore body. It takes a short while before my head processes that dream. My thoughts after this experience. He did what he could. Sachiro did what he could. The results might have ended up the same with different choices. Someone holding my hand. I should find Sachiro, who was resting on my bed. The movements woke him up. He slowly raises his head and rubs his eyes. Sachiro. His expression brightens upon staring at me. He reaches out and removes a strand of hair away from my eyes. Finally, you're awake. What happened to me? We're at the temple then. A few days ago, you fainted and I carried you home. You did what? I was worried, so Keiichi and I took turns looking after you. Both of you. I cut my cheeks, feeling embarrassed. I didn't know that I had been out for so long. When I was unconscious, I had a dream about my past. For some reason, you were there. Even though I spent a short time together, you left a deep impression on me. Sorry for rambling. It was just a weird dream. I know what I think it was. While I was unconscious, I had a dream about your past, too. I think I actually saw your memories. And somehow you emerged into them. I told Sachiro what I saw, and he agrees with every single detail. He's surprised at the accuracy. As we wrap up, I remember that I still have more questions. By the way, where's Keiichi? It's all good between us now, don't worry. So you remembered your whole past, even your life as the guardian. Yeah, and even though I have some of my old powers, I'm a human now. I regret many of my choices. I can't believe I let down the people for my own selfish wish. Despite my attempts to reassure him, he still looks disheartened. I try to cheer him up a little by wrapping my arms around him. Don't be sad. No matter what, I'll support you. I know you're a kind person. I feel the touch leave his body as he hugs me back. Sorry for not telling you earlier. Thanks for staying by my side. Chapter 4. Return. The following days, I spend time at home with Sachiro. I notice he becomes happier with each passing day. He feels like a combination of the young and old Sachiro, like his personalities have merged. I had another dream. I didn't show anything, but I did see a lot of my life in the village. For some reason, you were there. It was almost as if you teleported into a dream. I know. I'm sorry I was such a jerk. The old you was fun, too. I gave him a hard poke in the side. I still want to see that jerk sometimes. He starts and a grin appears on his face. So this day off has been lame so far. You up for going somewhere? Sure, where? The newspaper should have some coupons. I get from the table and swipe past the news. Unfortunately, the deals are not much better. Dang. Did they have coupons for the bakery? I saw the hot spring advertisement. remember the time with Sachiro. I blush. Or anything interesting. I jump. Sachiro has moved behind me and is now looking over my shoulder. I turn to face him, but get caught in his gaze. I feel myself getting flustered. Nope, let's go shopping. We head to the mall, mostly perusing clothing stores because Sachiro desperately needs to flush out his wardrobe. Right now he's wearing clothes I lent him, but he has practically nothing of his own. I buy at least one set of clothing from every shop we enter. You don't have to do this. I can get things later by myself. I need you to be shy. I don't want you to be dressed like a homeless man. It's as if you care too much about me. Care too much? I mean we're just not... Nah, never mind. She shakes his head and turns away. I quickly grab his hand, step closer and lock eyes with him. No, tell me. I'm worried that I will burden you. On the other hand, you have looked so much brighter since the day we met. Just thank you. I feel like I have started a new life, and hope this time I can prove myself as someone worth keeping by your side. I softly squeeze his hand and smile at him. Sachiro, you don't have to prove yourself to me. How much more time does he have? Probably like a month? He remains quiet for a few minutes, and I sift through the coat rack. We continue shopping until we fill our cart. Sachiro successfully pressured me into buying a few things for myself as well. It's been ages since I had so much fun shopping. We leave the mall and make our way to the park. I feel my shoulders grow stiff from carrying so many bags. Let's take a break. Some girls uncomfortably loud. Let's get a snack too. Okay. I look up and spot a stand serving a perfect treat. I turn to Sachiro. Would you like some ice cream? Sure. I'd like the same flavor as last time, if you can remember what I picked. He looks at me with a smirk. We're with 2 cones topped with cake and cherry blossom flavor. I pretend to be uncertain which to hand Sachiro, but he beams when I hand him the cherry-flavored one. The request was tricky because last time you said you wanted to try the cherry one. Hehe. We sit at a nearby bench. By the way, how much longer do you need to stay at my place? You're going to stay until my parents come home, if you have other plans in mind. Actually, I don't really have anywhere else to go, so I'll stay as long as you let me. I don't have much time left, though. After getting my memories, I recall the angel telling me something about a trial. Honestly, I don't know what's coming next, but I want to spend my remaining time in this village. Remaining time makes it sound so dramatic. You don't have a deadly illness, do you? Do you feel unwell? Well, as I mentioned before, sunlight burns a lot. That hasn't changed. But that doesn't mean it will kill me. I'd like you to get a checkup just to be sure. You're always so worried. I do look healthy, don't I? I don't know because I'm not a doctor. Sachiro laughs at my corny joke as he finishes his ice cream. He slowly sinks down onto the bench and rests his head on my shoulder. I eyes over his face as he falls asleep. He must be exhausted from walking around all day. I look at the sunny sky and enjoy the weather. The atmosphere feels nostalgic. I rest my cheek against Sachiro's head. It feels warm and his hair is fluffy. My eyes slowly close until I notice a familiar face in the distance. A blonde-haired boy wearing a brown uniform approaches. It's Keiichi. He stops and glances our way. A grin spreads across his face as his gaze switches between me and Sachiro. He raises his hand to greet me, but I look away flustered. Amused, Keiichi chuckles, comes over and sits on the bench beside me. He takes out a booklet from his pocket and starts to read with a level of casualness that slightly peeves me. I try to speak in a low voice, as to avoid waking Keiichi. Thanks for helping, Sachiro. He nods without looking away from his book. I want to ask a few questions. Go ahead. Why didn't you help him earlier, if you knew what was going on? What guy was wandering the streets? I almost have fragmented his memories, but you were a part of it. And like you, I'm not his lover. I will snap back, but he gives me such an over-the-top smirk that I could tell he's just avoiding the truth. I saw him with a cold, unimpressed stare. When he sees that I remain unmoved, his shoulders drop and he sulks ever so slightly. While I wasn't sure how to restore his memories, I did try a few things. That piece of work at the temple was the last resort, but I figured it couldn't go too wrong. He could only really help himself anyway. Why did you get me involved? You scared the hell out of me multiple times. He chuckles and shakes his head. Simple, you were amusing. Truth is, you were never in any real danger from me. Except for one time, which was your fault anyway. You almost killed me. As I raised her voice when Sachiro's eyes flutter open. Looks directly at Keiichi. Have you apologized yet? Raising my confused expression, Sachiro explains. Hey there, this guy, you were knocked out for a few days. And it seems he almost killed you too. The blonde boy coughs intentionally and turns his gaze away from me. Feel free to kick him. I'm so sorry. I stand up and raise my legs so I'm going to kick Keiichi's face. She has the face slightly away, but has clearly accepted his face. I stop my leg onto the ground, lean directly into his face and whisper, I forgive you. Confusion and frustration so clearly spreading across his face feels like a sweeter revenge than any kick I could have given. Sachiro bursts out laughing as I take my seat. She surprisingly seems more nervous and on edge about me now, which is the closest to respect I think I will ever get from him. We resume chatting, and after a while, Keiichi braves his own question. By the way, Sachiro, have you remembered any more of your past? No, I don't think anything else will come to me soon. The past doesn't affect my present anyway. That's my all left behind. Meaning you wanted to leave me behind too, huh? What if I had? You still came back to me. Your life is too boring. It's not as bad as you think. The rest of it is in the village keeping me busy right now. I don't think I can be helpful to you right now, but call me if you need me. You should rest a while longer. Humans don't heal that fast. Sachiro pulls down his collar slightly and studies the bandages wrapped around his torso. They don't seem to bother him. Honestly, I still don't understand why you wanted this life. Humans are weak. Are you acting superior now? I do have a human form, as you see, but I don't prefer it. I'll adjust. It'll be no problem. After he disappeared, I had a hard time keeping the village peaceful. After all, I can only work half a day. I don't think I can do it alone. I wonder how things will continue from this point. I'm still able to purify the spirits. I might not be as affected as much in this form. I'm going to try. When you're ready, I'm happy for your help. You were always the better tracker. Nice to see you working together. If there's anything I can do, let me know. Keep an eye on him in case he stabs me again. Keiichi chuckles and rests his cheek against his palm, feigning innocence. Now you make me look like the bad guy. You did almost kill him. I thought that was forgiven. I'll be the babysitter then. We chat for a while longer. Hey, why don't we try hunting some spirits tomorrow? As long as you don't push yourself too hard, I'll mind that. As Sachiro and I get up to head home, Keiichi urges us to rest. Sachiro and I make our way toward the park the following night to see Keiichi again. Is something wrong? I just remember something. About Keiichi. Yeah, the first time I met him. I'm surprised it took this long. He's a pretty memorable guy. What happened? I mean, the day starts off pretty boring, but... Everything around me is stained red. Arms and legs feel heavy. I'm tired of fighting. Tired of doing nothing. Tired of being tired. I love my katana once I mince the final spirit in front of me. His body turns to countless pieces before disappearing. My clothes are totally stained. But I don't mind. I don't care. I force myself forward, one foot in front of the other. I just want to leave the bloodbath. The path before me is somehow clear, like others have walked here before. If I look ahead, I spot a bar to my right. I have no idea how much time has passed or where I am. I sit for a moment, my mind blank. As I stop, my whole body starts to ache. I need to rest. I enter. The atmosphere is surprisingly friendly. I don't remember if anyone is in there. If anyone else is there. I stare to the counter and drop on a stool. What would you like? Any. Bartender is not fazed by my exhausted reply. I'll fix up today's special for you then. Okay. Quite unusual to see someone like you. I feel the dead pass through here. May I ask where you're headed? Nowhere. I see. Where are you from? Somewhere. Here you can only share your name. Sachiro. That's all I know. A pleasure to meet you, Sachiro. I have no name, but usually I'm referred to as Mr. Random. You can forget this name though, it is important. I don't pay much attention to the bartender. I don't even remember his face. You are today's special, the Sound of Death. Reason I wrote the title, but don't question it. You take a sip, it's cold, bitter sensation fills my mouth. Yet it becomes sweet as a swallow. I quite enjoy it. I sit around the counter and make myself comfortable. Due to the lack of patrons, the bartender occupies himself with me. Usually those that enter the bar are lonely, frustrated, or stressed. You appear to be none of those. You're right. Then you're content. When I start at the bloodstained hands a sigh. The bartender throws a towel to wipe him. I used to be content. Like an endless cycle, isn't it? We are content once we get what we want, but that quickly fades and we seek new purpose. But those that seek purpose go mad. In the end, they just fight for whatever they believe. I'm sorry you lost me, what? Just drop the wisdom for the future. Can I have another drink? Any. The bartender rolls a black dice and mumbles softly. Number 6, streaming the wild rose it is. He grabs 2 blue bottles, both with a clear liquid, and pours them simultaneously into a glass, where the contents turn pale purple. He details the drink with drops of blue fluid from a small flask in his jacket. They float in the middle of the glass and end up forming a large sapphire rose at the surface, the edges of the petals dipping in slightly. He adds a green straw with the bottom cut open, like the roots. Enjoy. It smells pleasant, but after taking a sip, it does not taste what I expect. Taking the sip and notice the flavor slightly changes. It tastes different every time I make it. So every time you sip, just like a dream, it never seems the same. It's good. At that moment, I turn my head and notice a new guest beside me. Ah, Keiichi, what brings you here today? I've only been here once. I remember everyone that comes through here. Anyway, give me the dark days. The bartender hands the man an ultramarine gradient drink. The bottom is gray and the top is decorated with white flowers. I'm building a liking to the names of the drinks and their designs. Rarely anyone orders the dream wild roses. Do you like it? It was the bartender's suggestion. It's not bad. A glimpse of the dark red stains on the man's pants. Looks like he had a busy day. My job is becoming easier all the time. Tracking is a pain when they move so much, but nowadays they spend more of their time at home. They have some new techniques that let them communicate with others from far away. Sounds convenient. I see, good for you. Even though things are becoming easier for them, people are never satisfied with what they have. I lived as a human before, and I still don't understand why. Humans? Yeah, I assume you're not familiar with their world. Tell me more. It's been a long time talking, but the world completely new to me. Keiichi's stories are so vivid that I only want to learn more. He even tells me about his life as a human and how he became a Shinigami. I'm impressed by his attention to detail. I became so curious that I asked him to show me the world he's talking about. Nah, forget it. That place is horrible. I regret ever setting foot in it. It made me curious. I don't recommend it. My life is repetitive and boring. I need something else to do. Just learn to be content. The human world is not worth getting sucked into. I shook my head and placed my hand on his shoulder. I'll just return if I'm disappointed. Alright then. Later, Keiichi leads the way to the human world. I'm filled with excitement and anticipation. This is the first time I've ever left the spirit realm. Keiichi leaves me to myself for a while in a small village not far from the forest. Before he does, though, he gives... I cannot read! Like a sip of your GamesRHard, God. Ugh. Before he goes, though, He gives me a note explaining how to find my way around the village and how to return to the spirit realm. As I make my way around the village, I see many people. It's very lively. I soon realize that nobody can see, hear, or touch me. Even so, I'm intrigued by this place. Keiichi and I end up working almost every day, dealing with a few stray dark spirits that make their way there. We often hang out on our free time too. We liken our relationship to what humans call brothers in the human world. This 1 month is the human world. That night, Keiichi found me, sitting in complete silence. He sat beside me. Sachiro, the longer you stay, the uglier it gets. You better leave while you still have a good impression of this place. I don't think anything will change my impression of a Keiichi. I heard from some of the spirits that there's an angel who will make any wish come true. For a fee. I think they're trying to become human. There we go with that silly idea. Keiichi rolls his eyes and patted my shoulder. I'm just warning you for your own good. I've decided already. I just want to protect you. You want to protect me. I don't need your protection. I'll just become as powerful as you are. I don't recommend that. Why not? Because I'll become corrupted like you. Not corrupted. Why do you hate humans so much? Why do you take pleasure in killing them? It's part of my job. Maybe what the humans need is a protector. I want to protect them from spirits like you. I'm the reason you haven't seen any corruption inside of humanity. Sachiro, I'm the reason you've enjoyed your time here in the first place. That means this village would already be in ruin. Liar. Excuse me? Corruption has killed innocent people, tearing relationships apart and spreading grief. I spent decades protecting this village. Maybe they don't need your protection anymore. He just hears me silently. He seems genuinely hurt and suddenly I feel horrible. So that's what you think, huh? Come when you need me. He just stands up slowly and disappears in smoke. From that day on, I rarely saw Keiichi. He stopped trying to convince me. I kept cleaning up stray dark spirits, started to see more dangerous spirits appearing too. As time passed, the people in the village created a temple in my honor, and I decided to stay there. But I did see more of the ugliness inside of people, and I'm not sure what to think. At some point, I fell into the routine you saw me in. I see. Never would have guessed Keiichi inspired you to move here. Whether or not I stay, though, it comes down to if I have a shot at happiness, even though it's small. I mean, maybe the future will still be unpleasant, but I can't predict that. You sacrificed a lot for this chance. Sachiro rubs the back of his neck. His gaze shifts to me and a smile crosses his face, which I cannot help returning. By the way, it's been bugging me. But which form of me do you like better, the old or the new? Smell a big Sachiro. I don't know what to say. You look cute when you're small, but the older form has charm as well. I'm in spirit versus human form. Oh! Why would you choose your decision? As long as it makes you happy, I'll support you. The conversation ends as we reach the park where Keiichi is waiting for us in his adult form. Why'd you bring games with you? She's useless. I like Keiichi, even though he sounded sarcastic. Got a problem? He gives me a mischievous smirk, but his expression changes to surprise. He shoots me a mischievous look, but his expression changes to surprise as he jumps in his seat. Ow. What was that? A kidney punch. Do it again if you be mean. You know I was joking. No need to hold back on Keiichi. Anyway, Sachiro, show us the way. I think we should check out the old mansion. My games and I went there. We were in a rush, and I couldn't really look around. Let's go then. The three of us checked the old mansion. Seeing the front door still guarded with chains, we begin to walk around the house. Halfway to the backyard, a chill crawls up my spine and I instinctively look up. A corpse is leaning out the window directly above me. I jump forward and yank Sachiro and Keiichi out of the way. The body falls from the second floor, slamming to the ground where we're standing. The headless cadaver appears half decomposed. Raining corpses. Wait, let me take a look and maybe be possessed. I peer back at the window, but do not spot any sign of anyone else. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep this going. Movement from the corner of my eye catches my attention. The person on the ground is still moving. Judging Keiichi. Keiichi presses his palm forward and shoots out a growing series of twisted branches, which wrap tightly around the undead until it's completely blocked from view. Shortly after, he calls the branches back and the lifeless corpse falls onto the soil. One down. I don't know how many to go. You can open your eyes. Keiichi took care of it. I'm scared of corpses. Totally not tag along. Keiichi shakes his head and walks ahead. Sachiro tries to calm me down by putting his arm around me. And in my eyes, the first thing I see is a gentle smile. My heart begins beating so fast from the surprise event. In the backyard, we discover more corpses half buried. Looks like a serial killer dump site. Even though none of them move, Keiichi purifies them to make sure. I didn't know human bodies could twist like that. I avert my eyes while we walk past the bodies. I wonder how these bodies ended up here. Are they all infected, or victims of the infected? The thought of Ryoji or Ikuya possibly being among them crosses my mind. I have to know. She back to the pile and hold back the urge to vomit. There are 24 bodies, but nobody matches the descriptions of anyone who was in the news, I think. We don't find any more corpses as we circle to the other side and approach the front door. We stare at the chain door. Can't you use your strength to open it? I'm a human now, remember? I can't break through the chains. What's the advantages of being human? Sachiro's nostrils flare and he steps back. He lifts forward and kicks the door. To our surprise, the door breaks down as the chains fall off. Keiichi whistles while I stare at the door speechlessly. Sachiro side-eyes Keiichi and leads the way. Nothing looks suspicious. We go upstairs. As he walks up, I hear a breathing sound and look toward the top. A corpse begins tumbling down the stairs toward Sachiro. I just imagine. Bada. We seem to be focused on the doors at the top. I scream at him. He leaps aside just in time. The heck, is someone playing around with us? We're in the right place. Shh, I just heard something. Everyone focuses on the strange breathing sound. The corpse, which rolls the stairs, stands up as if hypnotized. Before Keiichi can take action, a loud bang makes us freeze. A bullet penetrates to the corpse's head and it collapses right on the spot. Ah! Another person enters the scene. Chain, how, what? He looks carefully at each of us, and then his eyes look on Sachiro. He points his gun at him, but I quickly cover Sachiro before he can take action. Hold on, Chain. Sachiro is helping us right now. Chain, he's fine now. Chain raises an eyebrow at Keiichi. Who are you? Alright, says Keiichi is in his adult form. Chain doesn't recognize him. Going to make the situation even more complicated. Please lower your weapon. Sachiro's on our side. Chain lowers his eyes, but decides to give in. Even though he does not seem to trust us, it's better not to make a scene. What are you doing here, by the way? Hunting the possessed. How'd you get in? Through the window, of course. What idiot uses the front door to sneak in? I roll my eyes at his comment. Sachiro steps in front of me and stares into Chain's eyes. We're here to stop the possessed too, so let's work together. I know it's suspicious, but let's sort it out once we deal with those corpses. Sachiro can track down the possessed. That's why we're here. Chain shifts his gaze to me as I speak, as though he's judging how truthful my words are. He nods briefly before turning away. If I was not here, the situation could have turned out differently. We continue. Keiichi taps me on the shoulder and whispers in my ear. With that guy around, I can't use my powers. Might as well look in another place. So good luck, you three. He smiles to me before walking off and disappearing into the shadows. Jane notices Keiichi's movement, but doesn't question it. Jane, are you going to kill them all? Of course, since they can't be saved. He grabs the collar of the corpse he shot, pulling it up. The eye sockets are two dark holes, and there's nothing left from a nose. I look so unsightly that I shift my gaze. Do you want to save this guy? Too bad. Everything I encounter is in this state or even worse. People like this should be dead. Even if they are purified, they can't live on like this. Yeah, you're right. Let's go upstairs. I think there are more. Chain walking next to me. We follow Sachiro. Notice that Chain seems heavily focused on Sachiro. Chain, what's wrong? I'm not stupid. I know this guy's related to the dead. It's not exactly what you think, and it's a long story. I don't need to know the story. I already have my judgment. What are you planning to do? Depends on how this goes. Sachiro stops, narrows his eyes, and taps on the doorframe. Check this room. Jane moves to the front and swiftly opens the door. With his gun pointed ahead, he goes inside the room. I hear a confused male voice as Sachiro and I walk in after Jane. Oh, no! It's Shinoru! What's going on? I met you at school. Can you tell me why this man is pointing a gun at me? The American man raises his empty palms in the air. So it's just a mistake, right, Sachiro? I was just as if listening for something. No. Wait, I'm Shinoru and I'm a student from your school. Shinoru's expression looks flustered. I understand he's in a tight position. I've spoken with him once before. I don't think he's possessed. Guys, just leave him alone. Do you think it's strange that he is here totally unarmed, with those walking dead around? We all look in Shinoru's direction, waiting for his explanation. His golden eyes examine each of us. He looks oddly calm. Talk. Shinoru does not move an inch, nor speak. Oh. Jane decides to pull the trigger and shoots at Shinoru. The bullet pierces the wall behind him. Wait, why did you do that? Shinoru does a scream and move a muscle after being shot at. Jane steps toward him. I'm surprised Shinoru covers his face with both arms and jumps through an open window. We quickly go after him and look outside. What the heck? Did he just survive a jump from this height and disappeared? His trace is completely gone. I can't sense him anywhere. Let's go home. Nothing else is here. Sachiro takes my hand and leads me out of the room. I look back at Jane, who stands silently at the window. 3 days have passed. 2 more murder victims flashed on the TV screen. I recognized both of them, but didn't know them personally. I covered the events of the mansion with Shinoru. What was he doing there? Could he really be? Startled by a pat on the shoulder. I'm surprised this episode is still going. Because chapter 4 is the shortest chapter. So I think I'm just gonna write it out. Hey, you're right. Sachiro plops down on the couch beside me, follows my eyes to the news reporter and graphs. News reporter and graphs showing the rising body count. Guess you're thinking about last night. I'm sure I said something off about that guy. Too bad he escaped. I wish I could have gotten some answers out of him. Sorry for holding you guys back. Sachiro smiles as it touches my hand. It's hard to know who to trust. You shouldn't trust me. Why? I'm only regaining some of my memories. There could still be pieces missing regarding my identity. Even though we do know, your emotions make it hard for you to stay objective about me. Can you promise me you'll stay honest with yourself about who I am? I will, and I'm always honest with you. Good. Doorbell rings. If it could be, I try to catch a glimpse through the living room window. Let's go with dark hair. It's time! Wait, she's the angel that made Sachiro's wish come true. You're me, right? Looks just like a normal girl, though. Hi, can I help you? Hi, any chance that Sachiro is here? Taken aback and unsure of what to say. Sachiro comes up behind me. Oh, me. I thought you transferred to a school far away. Wait, no, you're that angel. Sachiro looks like he's struggling to put the pieces together in his mind. Can I borrow him for a minute? Sure, come on in. She nods to me as thanks and walks in. How are you doing? Sachiro flashes a smile. How does it look like I'm doing? I seem to regain some memories. I don't know how, though. Well, please keep our identity as Temple Guardian a secret. It would be troublesome if news spread any further. She smiles gently at me. Even though she looks delicate, I sense a strong presence. It's a little rude of me to come so suddenly. But I'm here to take you back to the spirit world. I knew it. But my time's up already. I thought. It's true that you have a few weeks left, but you regaining your memories isn't within the bounds of our contract. We would just be drawing things out at this point anyway. Sachiro looks worriedly in my direction. He's more concerned about me than himself. When Rosamy sees our glances turn into a gaze, she lets out a deep sigh. Alright, I'll return in 2 days. And it's difficult for you, but those are my terms. When she leaves, we stand in silence for a few moments before plopping down on one of the couches. The air feels heavy. With the contract, what happens when you return? It says once I regain all my memories and I return to the spirit world. However, I have to start at zero. I have to start from zero regarding my powers. I know how to manage myself. I'm thinking of continuing my job as Temple Guardian. I see. You look so sad. I had a wonderful time with you, even though it was short. He lifts his hand and pats my head. The sensation is something I'm not used to. Last shadows in one of the rooms upstairs. Sachiro and I go quickly and rush to the source of the noise. Hi? Oh my, how did he restart the corpse in my bedroom? Even though I was missing both arms, I managed to climb into the house and break through my second-story window. The head's covered in blood and shards of glass, with one of the larger chunks large in one of its eyes. Despite that, and all the blood, I can see pupils focused on us. We have to kill him by ourselves this time. Sachiro reaches across his waist and grasps the air. I'll have it. He grabs a nearby chair and uses it to push back the corpse. I rush in the room and quickly grab meat cleaver and an umbrella. It's the best I can find. Sachiro grabs the cleaver and approaches the corpse. I rush her around towards the other side, rapidly opening and closing my umbrella to distract it. My plan works. The corpse rushes toward me. I put the corpse back with the open umbrella, but it begins gnawing and tearing away at it. Sometimes Sachiro hacks the cleaver into the neck of the undead, loses strength and collapses before me. Did anyone ever tell you you're crazy? Well, I'm worried that I'm reckless sometimes. In a way, I managed to take him down. What do we do with him? We should call Keiichi or Chain for help. After all, they're the only ones who know about this too. Fine by me. He lives down the street. I'll call him first. The sudden sound was unexpected. I go downstairs to check our visitor in the living room window, again before quickly opening the door. Shinodu, what are you doing here? I'm being chased by the man with the gas mask. Would you please let me in? I see panic in Shinodu's eyes and finally open the door fully for him. Thanks a lot, miss. Shinodu. Sachiro looks confused as he enters the living room with the cleaver in his hand. It's okay, Sachiro. I don't think he's a bad guy. Shinodu's leg is stained red. What happened to your leg? Thank you for your concern, but it's only a minor injury. Sachiro goes over to the kitchen sink and cleans the cleaver while I explain the situation to Shinodu. By the way, I'd like to know what happened back then. What were you doing at the place alone? Well, just think about the corpses. I was curious about them, like you. I thought it was sounds from my bedroom. What was that? Oh man! Sounds like it's still alive. Let me take a look. Are you kidding? It's too dangerous. Trust me, I will take care of it. Give me a moment. Please stay here. It's safe for you. Without a warning, Shinoda goes upstairs. How can you know? What is he thinking? My room door closes and I'll go silent. Sachiro and I exchange nervous glances. We try to listen for whatever's going on. It doesn't take long for Shinoda to return, wiping his gloves with a handkerchief. What did you do? Like I said, I took care of it. I apologize for making a few new blood stains on the floor, but that was unavoidable. Both Sachiro and I look puzzledly at him. House is now dead silent. I think my pursuer is gone. Thank you for granting me shelter. I will be off now. Once he leaves, Sachiro and I head upstairs. The floor had enough bloodstains from the fight Sachiro and I had with the corpse earlier that I can't even tell that anything was added. I'm not sleeping in here tonight. What do you do? His body's gone. I don't know what he did. I should ask if I see him again. After a pause, I crouch down and begin to pick up large shards of broken glass. Sachiro rests his hand on my shoulder, then kneels down and begins picking up the shards with me. You look pale. You should rest. You've been through a lot lately. Even if you can handle it, your mind needs to break. Let me handle this. Alright, thanks. Spoke softly at Sachiro. I'll miss him so much. Tonight we take a break from hunting possessed bodies. Sachiro's body now gets tired easily, as his time here is ending soon. I head downstairs and lean back on the couch, so exhausted that time seems to fly by, but I faintly hear Sachiro rifling through some of the closets and collecting a few cleaning supplies before to continue working on my room. About 2 hours later, Sachiro's voice wakes me up. The chemical smell should be gone tomorrow. Then we can figure out what to do about the window. He sits down beside me before looking at me. We're sleeping, I guess. I'm sorry. He begins to get up, but I stop him. Oh wait, tell me about your contract with Wasumi. What are the details? Sachiro stops, taking his seat again, and begins taking me through it. He explains the difficulty of his request and the sternness of the requirements in great detail. His lack of a historical record, a body to occupy, or a life to start from were complex enough. He could have much more easily replaced another person in the village. That was out of the question since he did not want to harm anyone. As he goes through all the elements in great detail, my eyes grow heavy. I lay down on the couch. I'm going to sleep here. Good night. Not gonna happen. I take the couch, you head to the guest room. Too exhausted to argue, so I stumble upstairs. I lay on the guest bed, I try to process everything that's about to happen. Sure, I'll go back to the Temple Guardian in 2 days. It feels so soon. I want to stay with him longer. He changed so much. He used to be just kind. Now he was confident. And now he's both. I feel so proud of him. I lie in bed, I hear Sachiro knock softly on the door. Come in. He's still awake. Sorry for urging on you late at night. You look exhausted. Don't worry about it, come in. Sachiro moves slowly toward me. He looks even more tired than I am. Wait, you're resting. You shouldn't push yourself so hard. I want to stay here longer with you, since I don't have much time left. The notice was so sudden. There's a lot I have left to tell you. Oh? He pulls up a chair. The dim light casts a shadow over his face as he watches me with a gentle expression. I can't help but feel flustered at his gaze. I shift my eyes away. Hey, I can't thank you enough. Ever since the first day we met, you've been so kind to me. If it weren't for you, my life in the village would have been meaningless. I wouldn't have lived it to the fullest. I would have walked around aimlessly. Time spent with you affected me more than you think. Even though, for a short time, my dream became true, the experience was enough to make me realize what is important. The reason that brought me to you also made me regret not enjoying more of the present. I should have focused on what was right before me. I had a good time exploring the village with you. I will continue my duty. When I return to my world. This village and the people in it have become precious to me. Even if I don't see you again, I will never forget you. I have my pillow with my heart aching. I do not know what to say. I wasn't expecting this. So I just smile. Sachiro bends forward and reaches out for me. His fingers gently strokes my cheek as he looks into my eyes. I feel myself calm at his touch. I hope to keep watching over you, even from afar. I look forward to watching your life unfold. Always be yourself. I will. Thank you too. Sachiro pats my head as my eyes get heavy. I slowly close into a peaceful sleep. May we meet again, if possible, in another time and space. Good night and sweet dreams. 1 year later. The village is at peace. The perpetrator of the murders and disappearances was never caught. Some believe they left town, while others believe they were killed by one of the vigilantes, who was seen roaming the streets. Chain didn't die! Let's go! Chain is just fine! Everything is now the same as in the boring old days. Or at least, almost everything is. Leo just sighed, startling him awake. What was that? Let's start over. How long were you planning on sleeping? He looks at the clock and realizes the time. Why didn't you wake me up earlier? It looks so peaceful. I don't want to disturb any nice dreams you were having. Why did you stick around instead of just going home? I figured I could wake you up if I had any questions about my homework. So, did you have any questions? My paper mostly filled out. No. Leoji looks at me, a bit flustered. After we pack up our things, Leoji agrees to walk me home. I rarely fall asleep in class anymore. Instead, I'm working hard to pay attention and score higher grades, especially in history. Celebrate club activities. You've been attending so many of them. Do you have any free time? You're right, I haven't been able to rest much. I guess I can let my vice president take the spotlight today. By the way, have you considered joining a club? My club could use a secretary. I bet you want me as your personal slave. I didn't mean it that way. Please join my club. We will have so much fun. Listen, you got the qualities to be president of your own club. I don't know what's changed in the past year, but I think you could stick with the club if you wanted to. I'll consider it. But first, I'll see if it's to my liking. Space Spartans. So you'll come. Don't worry, I'll make sure everyone's on their best behavior. Just, if you decide to stay, don't skip out after a month, okay? This day 1 year ago, Rasumi came to take Sachiro away. At that moment, I wanted to hold Sachiro back, keeping him with me and not let go. Instead, I put on a brave front, suppressing the sadness inside. I want him to see my smiling until the very last moment. Our memories should be happy, I thought. I didn't want to make it too emotional or difficult, so we parted ways with only a smile. His last words were, "I will keep my promise." Just like I promised, the village became peaceful. Arms wrapped around my stomach and lift me in the air, kicking. What are you doing, Leoji? Wahaha! Startled me out of nowhere. I can't startle you out of nowhere. Don't dare you in the middle of the road. You get hit by a car or assaulted. Pats my shoulder. I think my only threat around here is you. Pfft. He looks at me with puppy eyes, but I know he's messing around. Throw an innocent glance back, then swing a rough hit into his side. Ow. I'll pay you back later. We both laugh. I dropped myself onto the couch to stare at the ceiling. I haven't felt or seen any sign of Sachiro since he left. He did keep his promise by making the town more safe, but still. Before, if he doesn't come to me, I have to go to him instead. That night I decided to pay my first visit to the temple. It's been a year. I think last time I visited the place is old and cold. I don't know if Sachiro is here right now. I can give it a try. Maybe the elder recall how often he's sat around there. Hey Sachiro, it's been a while, hasn't it? So I did come earlier to visit you because that's my shivering fist. You had no choice, and this was a better way, but I wanted to be with you. If I didn't get to be with you, I just wanted our last memory to be happy. I made this world safe. I'm taking advantage of it. I'm doing my best to make my life exciting enough for you to watch. Feeling the world is better. After it'll feel better. I pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Sachiro, I want to see you again. A selfish request, don't you think? I only answered by silence. I don't know if you heard me, but I feel better having finally said everything out loud. I stand silently for a few moments, feeling foolish, waiting for a sign. As the night air chills, I decide to head home. Thank you for protecting us, Sachiro. Goodbye. I politely bow before taking my leave. I was wondering how long you were going to stand there. Keiichi, when were you here? Toya eyes us off in the shadows, looking at me with a new smile. You have a very heartwarming monologue. But your presentation could use some work. You spy on me. I go in embarrassment. I haven't seen Keiichi since the last time with Sachiro. Not even passing at school, or during my trips to the library. You miss him a lot, don't you? Special words hit me in the chest. I've barely been able to even talk about Sachiro with anyone. Leoji asked about him at one point, and I lied and told them he had found his family in a nearby city. When he was happy Sachiro had found his home, I had no idea. His face softens as he watches me. His arms around me, pulling me into a hug. I can't hold back my tears anymore. It was everything I have been holding in for the past year. I knew I'd find you here. Meeting is no coincidence. You see Sachiro again, don't you? I look up at him and nod. I cling to him. as though his short of my lifetime. That guy knew you had a rough time, but he can't travel between worlds. So I came to get you. Shall we go? Only be for a short time, though. Hey, yo. The wind and dark smoke swirl around us. Kichi covers my eyes and I close them. I feel my body lighten. When I open them, I encounter broad daylight. This is the spirit world. Kichi confirms my question with a nod and releases me from his arms. I hear a voice behind me. A familiar sensation fills my body with life. I turn around. Emerald green eyes stare at me, as if witnessing a miracle. I see the same cute smile I miss so much. I hear the same voice calling my name. Sachiro's arms are open. And there I go. I run into his embrace. Sachiro, is it really you? I've missed you so much. I had a rough time working my way back up. I've always watched over you. Sachiro pulls me closer. I've been waiting for you to come. Thank you. His voice hits me even harder and I can't help tearing up. I never want this moment to be over. Normal N3. We part again after this anyway. Cool. Is that everything? I think that's everything. We go through the prologue, which we already know. Move to next choice. I'll go like that. I'm waiting until we get back to the choice where I choose everybody, because I feel like once we finish all of this, then it should be fine. No. That's it! Aw. Okay. I guess that's it for Dark Knights. I really enjoyed this game. Enjoyed all the different routes, and the whole 9. It was a little weird, but I enjoyed it very much. So, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you later.